What are wills? Can you make a will? Who actually qualifies to make a will under the law? And when can you actually make a will? What properties can you distribute or dispose of by a will? Must you necessarily dispose of only properties by a will? You'll get all the answers to these questions in this video. I'm Godin Selassie Dakpo, and this is Make It Legal.
Make it legal.
I'm sure you've heard of wills before. Maybe you have a family member who has made a will, or you have yourself made a will, and that will is there, pending to take effect upon your death. But what is a will, first of all? A will is a written declaration of a person's intention or of his wishes as to certain matters that should take place after his death, or how certain matters should be handled when he is dead. That is a will. A will gives a declaration of a person's intention concerning certain matters that would happen after his death. Because a will is just a declaration of intention, it can always be revoked during the lifetime of the testator. I should mention that the one who makes a will is called testator. So the testator is at liberty to revoke the will at any time, so long as he's alive. He can change it, he can make a new one, he can cancel the will he has made. He's at liberty to do all of that because it is just a declaration of his intentions. It only becomes a legal document after he's dead. So a will is simply a declaration of a person's intention as to certain matters that will take place after his death, or as to how those matters should take place when he's dead. A will ordinarily have two clauses or clauses that specify two main things. One may focus on disposition of properties that are personal to the testator. So properties that he has personally acquired during his lifetime. There could be clauses in it as to how they will be distributed when he is dead, who takes what and who takes what properties and all of that. Then the second clause you often find in the will is where the clause makes provision for other matters that are to take place after his death. And these matters could include appointment of executors, appointment of personal representatives, appointment of trustees, appointment of what we call testamentary guardian, a person who will take care of certain children he has or certain infants when he is not alive. So these are some of the matters that could be taken care of after death of the testator, which are not matters pertaining to distribution of properties. So we could also talk about payment of debts. He owes money whilst he was alive, and now that he's dead, he could instruct that payment of those debts be effective. I think the question we must answer also is, who can make a will in Ghana? Can you make a will? Can I make a will? Maybe I can. Maybe you can also make a will. But what does the law say? The law says that every person who is 18 years or above and of sound mind can make a will. Simple, right? So once you are 18 years or above, you can make a will. So if you are 60, 70, 50, 25, 30, 100 years, 18 years, 19 years, you can make a will. But remember, you must be of what? Sound mind. What it means is that you are not suffering from any mental issue that is capable of preventing you from forming a good intention that is not biased, that is not influenced or affected by other factors. So you should be a person of sound mind and in good health. I should add, sound mind oftentimes will go with good health. So if you are so sick and you can't think properly, chances are that you cannot make a will that will be valid because there will be issues with your sound mind. So the person should be what? 18 years or above and should be of sound mind. There are exceptions to the requirement of age, especially for those who are in the military or the armed forces. We talk about the Navy, the Army, and the Air Force. These people have exceptions. For them, those who are below the age of 18 can actually make a will. But whether or not we see people who go to the Army at the age of 17 or 16 is a second question to answer. But there are exceptions to their requirement. Another question we need to ask and also get answers to is, which properties can be disposed of by a will? Of course, it's not only properties that are disposed of by will. Other matters could also be handled by will, as I mentioned earlier. But if you want to dispose of properties, you want to transfer them to somebody else when you are no more alive, or when you are dead, which properties can you do so? The law has three categories of properties you can actually dispose of by will that will take effect after your death. The first category is self-acquired properties. Properties that are acquired by yourself. They are for you. They are personal properties. They are not properties of someone else or some other group of persons or some company or some family. No, they are your own properties. They are not property belonging to you and your wife. They are your own property. And when we talk about properties here, it's quite broad. It includes everything land, everything cars, everything, any movable and immovable property you could think about. Either they are tangible or intangible, you could actually make a will to transfer them. Maybe you own a YouTube channel, you could make a will to give it to someone when you are no more alive. Maybe you own an intellectual property, you can make a will to give it to somebody when you're not alive. So you can always dispose of any and every property in a will, from landed properties to movable properties. The second category of properties you can actually dispose of by will are properties that you'll be entitled to at the time of your death. Now, if you are going to die in a particular year, at the time you die, any property you'll be entitled to by reason of you not being alive or now being dead, those properties can be mentioned in the will. It can be disposed of or given to beneficiaries by the will. Some of the properties could be properties that you jointly own with people, that at the time of your death, your portion is supposed to be taken along with you to your estate. So once you die, it becomes yours. It is automatically taken as yours. And then if you have included it in your will, maybe say have a joint account with Kofi Mensah. If I am dead or if I am no more, whatever my share of that money is should be given to my son. You could do that. So properties you'll be entitled to at the time of your death. The last category of properties you can actually dispose of by will are properties that you are entitled to after your death. So we have self-acquired properties. Then we also have properties you'll be entitled to at the time of your death, and then properties you'll be entitled to after your death. So 3 categories. Take note of that. Now, there are properties that you'll be entitled to after you are dead. Maybe you are due to retire at the age of 60. You have not yet retired, but you are dead. So once you are no more, any money that is due by way of retirement package is supposed to be given to your estate, and your estate will take it and give it to the beneficiaries you name in your will. So you could say that I have social security contributions with the social security trust fund. I want all of those money to be given to my cousin, my son, my daughter, or my wife. You could say that. Now, quite interestingly, the law also has properties that you cannot dispose of by will. The law mentions them expressly. And when I say the law here, referring to the Wills Act in Ghana, the Wills Act mentions expressly that when it comes to these properties, you cannot dispose them by will. Now, it's not about the nature of the property or the kind of property in question, but the person who owns them. So what are these properties? Number one, properties owned by families cannot be disposed of by a will. The thing belongs to your family. Why do you alone want to give it to one person or transfer it by the will? It cannot do so. Then also, properties that are owned by stools, you cannot dispose of them by a will. It's just not done. Not because it's a land or it is a car or it is a house, but because it is owned by somebody who is not you. Remember, you can only dispose of your personal property. So if it's not personal, it belongs to a company, it belongs to a group, it belongs to a family, it belongs to a stool. Please, you cannot put it in your will. Now, when does a will take effect? When does it take effect? When I make a will in 2023 or 2024, when will it become effective to transfer the properties to the persons I mentioned in the will as beneficiaries? The law is that a will is not a legal document. In other words, it does not have any legal effect so long as you are alive and you are yet to die, or you have not yet died. Once you are not yet dead, the will remains just a paper, just a document that has no legal force or legal effect to do anything that you stated that should happen after your death. The will only become effective immediately you die. So as soon as you kick the bucket, the will takes effect. It becomes a legal document. It can authorize a disposition of properties. It can authorize payment of your debts. It can authorize appointment of trustees. It can authorize appointment of executors. It can authorize the doing of many things immediately you die. So the minute you die, your will is now a legal document, effective and of full force, and can bite. In fact, this principle is not only a principle of law. as the Bible clearly stipulates in Hebrews 9 verse 17, and the will, so long as the testator is alive, is of no effect. It only takes effect when the testator is dead. So a will is only a document of no legal effect, a mere intention, until the person who makes it, called testator, is dead and gone. The minute he dies, the will is of full effect and force. Hebrews 9 verse 17. Read that Bible verse. Read it. Now that you appreciate what a will is and what properties you can dispose by will, who can make a will? I want us to answer the question whether or not you should make a will. Now, many people do not make a will because they have all kinds of perceptions about wills. They think that once you've made a will, or once you want to make a will, you are thinking of dying. You are preparing to die. So they will rather not make a will and live their normal life, enjoy their life and party and have fun, and one day death will take them away, and there is no plan in place for their properties that they own, and there'll be fight, people will be fighting over it and all of that. So should you actually make a will? I mean, those perceptions are oftentimes not true. It is better to prepare for anything in life than not to prepare for it. So if making a will is like preparing for death, maybe you should prepare for death. For the Bible says it is appointed for man to die once, but after death there is judgment. So death will surely come your way, but are you prepared for death? Why should you make a will? I want to give you a few reasons why I think you are better off making a will. You don't need to do so when you are very old and sick and you know that death is just approaching. No, you need to make so as soon as you acquire the little property like this, you can make a will. I mean, some of you have phones, you have cars, you have houses, you have properties, you have furniture, you have TVs in your room. All of those things are properties, and you have to prepare. Anytime the Lord calls you, who takes care of those things? You want your uncles or aunties to come and fight over them rather? No, make a will and decide how they are handled after your death. I give you 4 reasons why I think you are better off making a will. Number 1, if you make a will, you avoid the application of the P.L.D.C. Law 111. Now, the P.L.D.C. Law 111 is a law we all probably know about. Once you've taken your social studies seriously, you should know about P.L.D.C. Law 111. That law actually makes provision for how your property should be distributed after your death if you have not made a will. So one of the ways to avoid the application of that law to your properties is to ensure that you take the law into your own hands and make your own will and make your own wishes known in your will, so that the law will not come in to share properties in accordance with that law, because the divisions there are not always desirable by most people. It's not the way you would like it to be. So you yourself make the will and decide who takes that your car, who takes that your house, who takes that your land, who takes that your intellectual property you have, and who takes all of the things you so much cherish. The second reason I want to give you is that once you make a will yourself, you are able to choose your personal representatives. In a will, you appoint a minimum of 2 persons who can take care of your assets and fulfill the wishes you have outlined in the will. In other words, they will be able to take charge of your will, apply for the necessary documentation required. We'll talk about the documentation later in a separate video. They apply for those documentations and then fulfill your will. In other words, do what they say they should do in their will. If they say they should give the house in Adenta to somebody, they will ensure that that is done. These people are called executors. If you are making a will, you have the right to choose the executors yourself, or choose such persons who are your personal representatives to undertake or carry out your instructions or your directions or your will, your wishes after your death. But if you don't make a will, the law would allow the family to choose administrators who would take your place and carry out the instructions specified in the law against your properties or towards the distribution of your properties. The third reason is that your personal representatives are able to, immediately you die, take charge of your properties and protect them for you. Because once you make a will, as soon as you die, the powers of the executors come to play. They can begin to take charge of properties and prevent them from damages or from exploitation or from misuse by others. So they can preserve them, they can go to court to obtain the necessary documentation from the court and do their work officially. But before they even start the works officially, they can take steps to protect your properties immediately you die. But if you don't make a will or you don't have a will, nobody can actually ask to protect the properties, maybe except your children and your spouses. But if you don't even have a child or spouse, then there's trouble. Nobody will do so until they bury you, have a family meeting, they appoint some people who will now go and start taking steps to, take care of all there is to be taken care of after your death. Another reason I want to tell you as one of the reasons why you should make a will is that you are able to assert your wishes concerning your properties. You say what you desire to see. You don't allow the Lord to come and say, give 1/8 to this person, give 1/9 to this person. The law has its own requirement. You don't put your wife, your spouses, or your husbands at risk just because you fail to make a will. So making a will gives you the power to make your own wishes known, and people will read it and they will have to respect it. The law and the state institutions are all there to ensure that your wishes are protected and respected when you are there. So make your wishes known by making a will. Another reason I think you should also know is that you are able to appoint the people we call testamentary guardians. These are guardians who you can appoint to take care of certain infants or children you have who you are concerned that when you are no more or you are dead, they may have difficulty surviving. So you want to appoint somebody who would have obligation under law to be a guardian to them and take care of them. You can't do that if you fail to make a will. You can only do that when you make a will that is valid. I hope you pick few lessons from this video and you are convinced enough to make a will. You are better off making a will. I think you have the option to decide whether to make a will or not to make a will. But if you ask me, I'll tell you, you're better off making a will. I'm Godwin Selassie Dapo, and this is Make It Legal. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, click like, and then click share to share this video to somebody. We want you to be part of us. Subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to Make It Legal channel. Oh, you still have not subscribed. I'm waiting for you to subscribe. Please subscribe to the channel. Yes, subscribe. Do it. Done it. Thank you.
Make it legal.